It's just appeared right out of thin air.
Military mid-plasma, out-of-focus star, or something supernatural? While I don't lean toward the supernatural explanation, it's interesting to consider. Could this be cutting-edge military tech, or is there more to this story? Let me know your thoughts below. This one's up to you, Awoken family. Welcome to my Awoken family. It's Tuesday, the final day of my 72-hour fast. How did you all do? Did you stick strictly to water like I did? Let me know in the comments. And while you're there, drop a positive message to uplift anyone who might be struggling today. Today's episode is packed with insights to challenge your perspective, uncover hidden truths, and connect the dots. Let's dive into this rabbit hole together. Let's go.
I've smoked 1.5 cigarettes in my life, guys. The first cigarette I ever smoked was next to a McDonald's when I was 12 years old. It was ironic that I smoked my first cigarette next to a McDonald's, because these processed foods are made to be addictive. And in fact, there's a history of tobacco manufacturers, Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds, using their cigarette addiction playbook to change the way processed food is in grocery stores in the United States in the 1980s and the 1990s. This food is addictive, very similarly to cigarettes, guys. I stopped smoking cigarettes many years ago. I only smoked 1.5. A lot of us are still addicted to junk food, and it is harming us. Get rid of both of these things, processed food and cigarettes, and you'll be much healthier.
It's nuts that the fast food industry took notes from the tobacco industry. Both used psychological tactics to make their products highly addictive. The longer you consume, the harder it is to quit. This year, let's focus on breaking these cycles. 2025 is our year for health, and I'm here to help you along the way.
All right, I have two questions. Why is this guy, and this guy have connections to Fort Bragg? Second question is, they say that Matthew took himself out seconds before that was detonated. And we do know that these can drive themselves there, right? So is it possible that Matthew was already in there to where he was taken out? And then this was said to go towards the towers? Let me know in the comments below. Take care. God bless.
The truth behind recent events feels like part of a much bigger narrative. I have a feeling we'll start seeing its full impact around the 20th of this month. What do you think? Are these just isolated incidents, or are they connected? Share your thoughts below.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Ellen DeGenerate killed Anne Hesh? So Anne Hesh dated Ellen back before she became like a, elite superstar. In the weeks leading up to her death, Anne Hesh did multiple interviews in which she expressed frustration and fears over Ellen's continued hostility towards her, alleging that Ellen was using her influence to interfere with Anne Hesh's career, among other things. Wouldn't it be crazy if Anne Hesh's final project that she was working on was a movie about child sex trafficking? And wouldn't it be crazy if the footage from her car crash appears to show her attempting to break free from the burn blankets, which the paramedics had wrapped mysteriously around her entire body, including face, which they don't do? And wouldn't it be crazy if the authorities said she was acting high on drugs, but a toxicology report showed that she was on no drugs at all, nothing? And I guess it'd be crazy if the hospital declared her in stable condition after arriving, but then she somehow died 6 days later anyways. Crazy.
Oh, why did she have to come here though, of all places? This location already has a reputation of being, and now it seems like it's becoming a hub for the elite. It's deeply unsettling to think about what might be going on behind closed doors, especially with all these allegations. Enjoying the journey so far? Take back control of your feed, subscribe so you don't miss a single upload in the future. If today's content is resonating with you, please consider dropping a like on it. It only takes a second, but it really does help the community to grow. And as always, we're now aiming for around 3,000 likes, as you guys have been just totally wiping the floor with that goal. Also, make sure you stick around to see if your comment from yesterday's video gets featured at the end.
Well, it's interesting too, just not to go too far off on a rabbit trail or a cat trail. There was a really interesting video I saw a while back, and it was talking about the cat's eyes. Basically, domesticated cats. They're very similar features to big cats. You see how they walk, and we got a cat, you see how it moves. You can imagine if it was 100 times bigger, it would look like a tiger. But what's really interesting is that the big cats do not have the same kind of pupils as the little cats. The little cats have the slit pupils like reptiles.
It's very fascinating.
It's really weird. And then so you have the ancient Egyptians gave some reverence to the cats. They were some kind of guardians of the underworld. If you ever seen the movie The Mummy, when the mummy is regaining his human form, the cat keeps scaring him off. It's really weird. It's almost like, do they have more of a perception of the veil? They can see through the veil with those kind of eyes. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah, I've always thought cat's eyes, there's something really, almost reptilian about them, isn't there? Ancient cultures revered cats, believing they had a connection to supernatural energies. What do you think? Are cats more than just companions, or is this just an old cultural belief? Let me know.
This is why you always trust your pet's instincts. A man was home one day with his dog Charlie when he noticed his dog started acting aggressive, staring at something in the window.
What are you seeing? Something's been spooking him. He's jumping around. This dude.
As the man records, his dog suddenly looks to the right as a shadow is seen moving above the windows. Whatever this is seems to be barely visible by the camera, but clear as day to Charlie.
Why don't you back up?
The dog starts to slowly back away from the windows, then something terrifying is captured.
Yeah? You leave when we gotta go.
Another dark spot seems to walk by the hallway as the disembodied voice of a woman says, "Get out."
You leave when we gotta go.
Ever since he moved to that house, he's been documenting many inexplicable events of this strange entity haunting his family.
You leave when we gotta go.
Animals have an incredible ability to sense energy. Wild animals in particular seem to pick up on fear and vulnerability. What do you think this dog was sensing in this clip? Any animal behavior experts out there who can weigh in on this?
Megan's such a great example. They hire Megan. She's, got a kind of fired by the same man that fired me. And instead of saying, hey, the ratings don't match the $40 million a year budget, they fire Megan for asking a question about when blackface fell out of vogue or was not acceptable at all for Halloween and things. Think of all the late night comics who are working today that used to regularly do blackface on their shows. All Megan did was ask the question, give me a year or a period when that became absolutely unacceptable to the point that your career and everything will be taken. So asking that was the equivalent of like lynching a bunch of people in Mississippi.
Yeah,
and
they trucked out different people from the network. What Megan did, I think is what you did, and said, absolutely not. You'll pay me out in full. My contract will be paid. And I think Megan got all 60-some million dollars to then go off and build what she's built, which is pretty awesome. You know what, the main thing which stuck out to me on this particular clip, news should be about the truth, not ratings. Yet that's rarely the case. When someone calls out Hollywood, they're often silenced or fired. What does that tell you about the priorities of these media giants?
In the background of this video, there is something you gotta see. It's from Hampi, India. There are 52 of these pillars in this temple that are tuned to 7 notes. As he was playing, I saw one of the notes on the wall. Probably like, that's not a music note. No, it is a frequency, actually. One that we can see with cymatics. Hindu temples are kind of like a book. This pillar, for example, looks like a 3D sound wave. But you couldn't play that or that, it's just showing amplitude. To see the details, you have to look into the sound wave with cymatics. It forms what looks like a flower. Now you have the frequency the pillar resonates at. This is Baalbek in Lebanon, it's a piece of the ceiling. Purple cymatic is a 6-fold frequency. In the middle is the flower. The Corinthian order would put the flower on the top of the capital. In ancient Greece, they would put these on the top of the Ionic capitals. Hindu temples are head to toe detailed. Highly encourage you to check these out if you have not. The detail will make you question everything. It's like an instruction manual for the universe written in stone. It's truly amazing.
Personally, I'm convinced that sound is the key to manipulating reality. Imagine chanting in Sanskrit at just the right frequency in one of these ancient sites. Mix in some other individuals which are using intervals to make a chord whilst you do that, and who knows, could it unlock secrets hidden in, our world, in these temples. Sound is far more powerful than we give it credit for. A massive shout out to my channel members. You are the backbone of this community and you are keeping it alive and thriving. If you are interested in joining and unlocking some exclusive perks, please check out the link in the description below. Thank you, your support honestly makes this all possible.
What the
Stop. No, I'm not. No, hell no. I think I'm gonna be on team let's keep driving. Now, I would have been perfectly fine if this video was just thrown into the archives of mysterious found footage to be debated and talked about until the end of time, but unfortunately,
or fortunately, depending on the way you look at it, that this young lady who had taken this video was able to get some background as to what was going on with this woman. She had escaped from somewhere and found herself flying into the river, and what they saw right there was her getting out of the river, but because of her dementia or other mental faculties that she was struggling with, she didn't know where she was or where she came from. After calling the authorities, they were able to sort of point her in the right direction, and hopefully everything is going all right for her.
That poor woman. It's really disheartening to see that those people would just pass her by. What would you have done in this situation? Would you have stopped to help her or felt too uneasy? You know, they could have just rolled the window down a crack and spoken to her, but it is what it is. Let me know your honest thoughts.
Do you guys remember Palestine, Ohio, where the train wreck happened and there's this big cloud that encompassed 3 entire states surrounding it? People were dying, animals were dying, fish were dying because the water was all polluted. It was snowing, but it wasn't real snow. Like the snow wouldn't melt. There's thousands of videos on TikTok, which this
people try to light it up.
Yeah, they would actually melt the snow in their hand with a lighter and it would actually shrink and turn black and it smelled like burning plastic. The rain would even look like chemicals. The rain would fall on people's cars and there was this oil stain on people's cars from just rain, because TikTok kept on showing up more and more thousands of these videos of people showing that their loved ones died. The government finally sent hazmat people out there for like a brief day or something, and then the hazmat people came on the news and said, yeah, there's nothing to see here. This is all just made up. Well, more people kept dying, so they sent out more hazmat people and said, okay, yes, there's some people dying out here, but there's nothing to see here, folks. It's all part of the show. It seems like it's happening again. The train was probably carrying their smart dust stuff. You know, it is weird. There was actually a movie made in Palestine, Ohio, about a train derailment and chemicals being leaked. So, yeah, I guess it was planned. It wasn't a mistake.
You know what? Dark Predictions talked about that train derailment carrying dangerous chemicals a few episodes back, and now people are reporting weird snow. Do you think there's a link, coincidence, or something else?
I took a snow sample last night, dude. This is my microscope findings. Watch this.
Dude, watch these little organisms moving, dude. This was inside the snow. Now, this is zoomed in on like 40x right here. Y'all tell me what on earth this right here is supposed to be, and how is this in the snow, man? I don't know, maybe if we keep looking, like, you can see like little bitty things in there moving. Look. See it? Come on, man. Look, and this is like microscopic, and that little thing's moving down there. Come on, man. It's gotta be something, dude. Gotta be. Alright, y'all, check it out. This right here is the snow, okay? The video I took last night, I took a snow sample up here in North Carolina. The snow was looking weird, feeling like a close look. This is a little amateur's microscope. But if you look closely, what the heck is that? Those look like scales, man, don't they? Hold on, let me just look. All right, look at this right here, y'all. This is that snow. Now y'all tell me what on earth this is.
And speaking of snow, I'm not surprised there's bacteria, but the patterns people are seeing are strange. Without conducting these tests myself, it's hard to say what's going on. Anyone out there have insight into this? Is it as unusual as it seems? Or at least how this creator is making it out to be?
We have a bunch of ridiculous aerial phenomenon as this snowstorm horror moves in, so let's get into it. By the way, that weird image you saw at the beginning of the video, we're about to get into that too, and yes, it is real. So this right here behind me, this is actually 10 or 11 o'clock at night. You know it gets dark at 5:30 in those Midwestern states where core is moving, and it's ridiculously light outside.
I don't know what the f going on. Well, I do know what's going on. 10:54 p.m. to look outside. It's daytime.
That is pretty crazy. And right here we have core moving through, and it's going to dump 5, 6, 7, 8 inches of snow on Texas. Back to the aerial phenomenon in a minute. Don't worry, it's not only Texas, all the way on out. And I firmly believe that the blue is going to move way down because we've been seeing it over and over again. This wasn't supposed to happen. All the weather people said that the models were wrong and it would straighten out. Ohio's a mess, by the way. Craziest one. Yeah, I know it's hard to see. Here it is slowed down. I'm not showing something bizarre inside of it, by the way. But notice how the light hits the ground. What? And then the blurs it leaves behind. sprites, or spiritual phenomenon. Please tell me you see what I see. This is the same thing that you just saw, just in an image, add details, contrast, etc. Please tell me you see what I see. Let me know. Finally, what auroras in Finland? This is insane. Y'all ready for this snow? Keep looking in the sky.
Snow seems to be falling across much of the northern hemisphere at the moment. Now that's not really that unusual considering it's winter, but it's very widespread. But what's really odd are the gridded clouds some of you have, reported, and I myself have also seen, and those occurred before the snow hit. Coincidence, or is there weather manipulation at play here?
This guy Braden Hill says, well, Europeans just throw up some cities and call themselves civilized. Like that's all it is. Like you just throw up some cities. Why couldn't you do that for 60,000 years?
Hello my friend, I just got sent this video, so let's do a quick response. The idea that Aboriginal Australians should have built cities ignores how and why cities first appeared in human history. Humans have been around for like 300,000 years or something close to that, but cities only started emerging around 6,000 to 7,000 years ago in places like Mesopotamia, Egypt and the Indus Valley. So around 98% of all human history did not have any form of urban civilization that we recognize. Urban civilizations need large settled populations and strong food production. In places like Mesopotamia, rivers provided fertile land for farming, which led to surplus food. This extra food let people focus on jobs like building, trading and writing. Now, Aboriginal Australians lived in a land where survival often required moving around to find resources, so they developed a different but still a complex way of life. Also, technological progress tends to happen when people or communities share ideas over time. Civilizations like Mesopotamia, Egypt and China advanced by trading and learning from each other, as well as populations that were probably settled around them. Australia, while occasionally visited by Indonesian fishermen, did not really have that direct connection to foreign lands, and so their traditional way of life wasn't really influenced beyond areas like Arnhem Land to some extent.
Calling the Aboriginal people uncivilized just because they didn't build cities is just so narrow-minded. Many ancient peoples had systems and values far more advanced than today's societies. It's time we rethink what it means to be civilized. You know what, this spooky clip seems strange at first, but after a closer look, it's clearly fake. That little video at the bottom left hand corner saying cam 2 is just mirrored with some slight color adjustments to make it seem like there's a second camera. Also the way he's booty scooting around on the floor, just so unnatural. Anyway, I thought I'd give it a shot. We haven't covered any of this kind of content for some time. Anyway, let's move on to more real mysteries.
It is now illegal to use artificial intelligence to deny a medically necessary health insurance claim at least in California. California just passed this brand new law, and the state senator that backed it said artificial intelligence should never replace the expertise and judgment of physicians. And this is one of these laws that sounds great on paper, but there are a couple of asterisks here and there, because insurance companies still can use AI for various medical claims, or perhaps ones that are already known to be not medically necessary, or to analyze patients or help with decision making, but now human doctors have to sign off on the decision, and there's a problem with that we will talk about very briefly. But the law in question is called the Physicians Make Decisions Act, and it aims to ensure that AI algorithms do not override the authority of medical professionals and allow experts to determine the correct course of treatment without significant influence. I think that's a very, very good thing. This bill was signed into law not long after United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson kind of bit the dust in a very unfortunate accident. But in the days following his death, that 2023 lawsuit about United Healthcare using AI to deny coverage of doctors became very popular. The California legislature moved very quickly, and it does indicate again that AI in healthcare is not banned under California law. It's just when it comes to coverage decisions, all medically necessary treatments cannot be delayed or denied by this type of technology. But there is kind of a problem in that how they're already doing it in a lot of states where doctors, the insurance company supposedly has their own doctors to review this. They'll have an AI pre-scan a bunch of cases, send recommendations to an actual doctor who spends as little as 10 seconds per case skimming them before signing off on a batch of 50 to 100. And I imagine that system is still probably legal in California, but just mass exporting denials, just hitting a deny all button in your AI, well, we can't do that anymore. So at least they've done something. At least they stopped the complete backslide of the US healthcare industry.
Decisions about medical insurance should never be left to algorithms. A human understands pain and the value of life, while an algorithm only processes data. What do you think? Should we leave such critical decisions in the hands of machines?
According to a recent study from Tulane University, the Mediterranean diet changes your gut bacteria, and the changes in your gut bacteria ultimately boost memory and cognition. So we've known for a long time that the Mediterranean diet is extremely healthy and has a lot of body-wide benefits. We also know that it's good for preventing dementia, Alzheimer's, and a variety of other aging-related cognitive disorders, but we don't specifically know why, but now we have a much better clue. In a study published in Gut Microbes Report by researchers at Tulane University School of Medicine, found that subjects following a Mediterranean diet developed distinctly different gut bacteria patterns compared to those who had a typical Western diet. These bacterial changes correlated with better memory and better cognitive performance, which I think is fascinating. It's both a simple and more complex solution, because previously we didn't know why the Mediterranean diet was so good for brain health. I mean, we had clues, we had suspicions, and now we know that it affects the gut microbiome. So we know it gives your body a healthy, happy gut microbiome, but unfortunately the gut microbiome is its own deep mystery that scientists are currently working on. So what they found is that over 14 weeks of the Mediterranean diet, which is olive oil, fish, fiber, vegetables, etc., increased 4 types of beneficial gut bacteria and decreased 5 other types of bacteria in rats compared to eating a Western diet high in saturated fat. These bacterial changes were linked to performance improvements on maze challenges that were designed to test memory and learning. Specifically, higher levels of bacteria such as this one, which I will not try to pronounce, are increased, and they're good for cognitive performance, whereas increased levels of this other type of bacterium, which the Mediterranean diet drives down, are correlated with poorer memory function. The Mediterranean diet group also had better cognitive flexibility. That shouldn't be surprising. They have lower levels of LDL cholesterol, and I think this is overall very interesting. If you're curious about the Mediterranean diet, this isn't a diet fad channel or anything, but it's olive oil is the primary fat, abundant vegetables, fruits, whole grains, fish, lean proteins, very little red meat or saturated fats, high fiber intake, not a lot of sugar. It's something that I wish I had the self-control to eat, but at least now I know why it's so good for people's brains.
You know, I've tried many diets, but never the carnivore one. But whole foods, organic veg, grass-fed meats, distilled water, and Celtic sea salt combined with intermittent fasting on my monthly 72-hour fast has been transformative, and that's to say the least. Let 2025 be the year we focus on conscious living. It's time to become the best versions of ourselves, and we as a community can really help each other.
Hey, it's Glamham. Yes, I'm not well, that's why I've been MIA. I have pretty much laid awake all night wondering how I could make a video on this. And I've tried writing scripts, and I thought, let's just... Let's just hit record. So, this is the tip of the iceberg. And what do we do about it? Anyone who has followed any of Elon Musk's tweets on X will be illuminated to the atrocities that have been happening in the UK with young girls. Why do I feel I want to speak about this besides being a woman is I have been a victim. And I've been through a lot. In fact, one of the things I love about Glamham, since she arrived 3 years ago, Glamham hasn't had trauma, but the person behind Glamham has. And I've survived it. And in fact, the person who inflicted illegal criminal activity upon me and my person was caught some years ago, and the hardest thing I've ever done in my life was actually testify in criminal court, and I never thought I would be able to do it, but I did. I sought out counseling, which is incredibly important. If you have experienced something like this, you can't go it alone. You have to have some support. I'm going to be putting some suggestions of support in this video. I want to put the keywords up, but I know TikTok will just flag the video. So whatever country you are in, search by keywords for your country. But counseling and support is important. Men, this is not about hating men either. Until I actually talked about the blob, all of my followers were men because they loved radio, I guess, more than ladies did. Then I covered this guy and suddenly I had loads of lady followers. Women love the blob. Side note, guys. What can you do to be a part of the change that is needed to happen? My suggestion is for any ladies in your life that you love, be they mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, if you have that appropriate relationship, is to simply say, if there's ever anything you want to talk about or things that might hang on your mind, if ever anything has happened to you, I just want you to know I'm here. And then really listen. And don't judge. Don't feel you have to solve the problem. The problem is very complex and often will have happened years ago. You could perhaps, after listening, suggest maybe you could help find some support counseling, or ask them, how would you like me to best support you? I couldn't have done it alone. This is so huge, this problem. And change isn't easy. Look how the Me Too movement came. It was incredible. And then it drifted by, because the world drifts on and new problems arise. It's a complex journey, but I truly have hope that things can change and grow. And men, ironically, can play an enormous part in the change and healing that needs to happen. I'm not going to apologize for being emotional, because with all the counseling I've had for years, I know that wouldn't be appropriate. I can tell you that as a victim of this sort of a crime, speaking for myself only, it tends to make one feel that you have no value. And I think it's because when something bad happens, it's easier to deal with if you have no value, because then you haven't lost anything. So I tend to generally feel like I'm just vapor. And I'm actually completely fine with that. So what puts the air in my sails and makes my day bright is, how can I help others? Entertaining is fantastic. It's a lovely way to uplift other people. And teaching and learning. But for people who may just feel really bad, your feelings are valid. If you're confused, yes. If you are disassociating, yes. If you don't know where on earth you would begin, yes. So, I'm not looking for any sympathy. Please use your energy in the comments to put your country and some names of support places that you're aware of. I want to thank you all for listening. And I am fine. This is just something really important to talk about. Take care, and I'll see you in the comments.
Evil in this world runs deeper than we can possibly imagine, but we need to focus on supporting each other. Everyone fights their own battles, and it's vital we listen without projecting our own experiences onto others. Community and understanding are key. This is why I created the Discord community, because we've got so many like-minded individuals which are now joining and conversing and sharing insight and offering support for their, various problems. It's amazing to see such a thing flourish and blossom. Make sure that you click the link in the description below to join our Discord community. We will accept anyone, as long as they are 18 plus, of course. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please consider hitting that like button. It is a small action, but it does have a massive impact on the expansion and growth of this channel. And also, if you wouldn't mind sharing this video on your own social media, it really helps with expanding our awoken family and bringing in more people and helping them become aware of the nature of this reality. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and stay curious. Until next time.